The sport of field hockey began in ancient Egypt and was played by the men who built the pyramids. Some 4,000 years later in modern Silicon Valley, a young woman built her life in the sport, and it saw her represent 2 Bay Area universities and her country in a way no other American field hockey player ever had, or has to this day. Sheryl Johnson grew up in Cupertino and excelled in multiple sports at Monte Vista High School and De Anza College before lettering in 3 sports at the University of California. But once she got to Berkeley, she quickly decided the game that would be her go-to sport, because she always had big plans for where field hockey would take her.
She knew at a very young age that she wanted to go to the top, which is very, and I think at that time a little unusual. But you know, she had it in her mind that she wanted to go to the top and play for the United States at the Olympics. I think that was her dream. And it was interesting, you know, as the years went by to see her develop into that player and make it to the top.
Johnson didn't just run to the top, though. She sprinted. She earned a spot on the USA Olympic field hockey team 2 years before she earned her Berkeley bachelor's degree in 1980. And she would have gone to the Olympics that summer if not for the USA's boycott of the Moscow Games. This only made Johnson more determined to be part of the Los Angeles Olympics in 1984 and impress her coaches with aptitude and attitude.
Point guard mentality in many ways. She could see the player, she knew how to feed a player at the right time, at the right place. The skills that you often see in a point guard. Because of those skills, I think that if I had to do it all over again with Sheryl, I would give her some time at midfield, which is comparable to point guard in setting up offenses, because she had that ability. And of course, she played 3 sports at Cal, so she's a very gifted athlete.
I always was a little bit worried about her when we lost, because I was afraid she was going to be a hermit in her dorm room or wherever, and not come out until she really had to. It was amazing, this intensity about her.
All the sports need endurance, they need speed, they need quickness. Most of the team sports need the ability to pass, to receive a pass, to catch a ball. Hockey is like that, needs all that, but you have to do it with a crooked stick.
This much is certain. No field hockey stick was ever held by a more determined player than Johnson as the Los Angeles Games approached. After being elected team captain, she led the USA to a bronze medal, making the clinching shots in a tiebreaker with Australia. It's still the only medal ever won by an American women's field hockey team. Johnson would also compete in Seoul at the 1988 Olympics, but by then she had established herself as the field hockey head coach at Stanford University, where she received a master's degree in 1981. Johnson methodically built the Stanford program into one of national stature. Not an easy task in a sport where the traditional college powers exist on the East Coast. It probably helped that, while at Stanford, Johnson continued to be a force on the national team, being named USA Field Hockey Athlete of the Year 3 times in a vote of her own teammates. She traveled to more than 20 countries and represented her nation in a record 137 games. And there were many times when she brought her Olympic playing skills to the Stanford field where she coached.
Sheryl would practice with us. We knew that we would scrimmage in practice when we saw her come out to practice with her shin guards on. You would always hope you were on her team. And what was so unbelievable was, even though she wasn't in Olympic shape, her passes were like nothing I've ever seen, or even to this day have seen. She can find the open player on the field and get the ball with absolutely no effort whatsoever. And if you're defending her, you may as well just step back and watch, because we never touch the ball.
In 1991, Johnson retired from the national team after 14 years, but she continued to coach at Stanford until 2002, where she led her Cardinal teams to 9 NORPAC Conference championships and 7 appearances in the NCAA playoffs. Johnson was elected Conference Coach of the Year 8 times, but one of her finest contributions was as a sower of field hockey interest in the South Bay and all of Northern California. She inspired young girls to play the sport, with some of her own former players coaching those girls.
The sport has grown immensely, and we've got kids going to the East Coast and playing. We have UC Davis that just added a program, and I can honestly say that without Sheryl's dedication to the sport in the area and what she accomplished, you know, we would still be working through trying to grow its popularity.
Today, Johnson lives with her family in the Reno area and serves as athletic director at a local school. She has been honored many times by her sport, with induction into both the USA Field Hockey Hall of Fame and the Field Hockey Coaches Hall of Fame. Her hometown of Cupertino also honored her by proclaiming a Sheryl Johnson Day. Among those who know her best, however, there's no question that her proudest moments came when Johnson was representing the United States and standing on that medal platform at the 1984 Games.
She made that team what it was, and she didn't talk about it a lot. I mean, we were dying for stories, but she's so modest that it wasn't until my senior year when we were at her house for a team gathering that she showed us her bronze medal. It was the first time I had ever seen it. And again, though she didn't, you know, make a big deal about it, you could see the smile, and it's something that's very, it's something that she always has, that little twinkle in her eye, and so when you see that smile, you know she's proud.
We were the first to have a medal in field hockey for women in this country. Now I say we were the first to have a field hockey medal, men and women, but if you go into the archives, you'll see the men did get a bronze. I think it was in '32. But there were only 3 teams.
You know, she had this dream, and to be able to play for the United States was, you know, I mean, every kid's dream is to play for the United States, and it's just, you reached it, and it's just, wow, you know, it's, I'm gonna live this experience and not forget it.
Tonight, 4,000 years after her sport began, and 30 years after she began wearing a USA uniform, Sheryl Johnson becomes the first field hockey player inducted into the San Jose Sports Hall of Fame. She carries with her a crooked stick, an unprecedented record of achievement, and the knowledge that countless young women and Americans have been inspired by the way she lined up her goals, aimed high, and scored every time.